Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Hayden Coker Show. It has been a long week, and I'm safe to say I'm happy to be back here in front of the camera for sure. This is the Hayden Coker Show, brought to you by J&K Tire. You can go down to J&K Tire in Steele, Alabama, and you on your next purchase, just mention the Hayden Coker Show, and you'll get $10 off of your next service at J&K Tire. We've got a good episode coming today, guys, and over the weekend there were some big things happening in college football. There were some upsets. There were some teams that I thought would get upset, didn't get upset. Uh, Ole Miss and Auburn. That's who I'm talking. I'm talking to you guys. But it was a really good weekend of college football. Bama beat Tennessee 34-20, and let me just tell you guys, Tennessee got absolutely mollywopped in the second half. I did not expect it. What I expected was for Tennessee to go out there, and I didn't expect them to win, but I saw them go up 20-7 at the half, and I was like, hold on now, maybe Tennessee's going to win this game, but I don't know what it is, man. Alabama has just played a whole lot better in the second half this year. They have been a second half team, and I don't necessarily know what else to say about Tennessee other than wow, they just looked horrible in the second half. Then you had Casey Phillips said, "Roll Tide, baby." Hey, Casey, man, I'm here for it. I know you're happy, and I know all my Alabama fans and Alabama buddies are out there, and they're smiling and they're having a good week. I know you smoked your cigars after the game. Don't matter how old you are, and you're in Alabama. It's a national holiday. But don't tell anybody I said that. But anyways, Tennessee just looked terrible, man, and I thought that with them going up 20-7, I thought that maybe they would come out in the second half and really do some nice things, but they ended up not doing that, and they just looked absolutely horrible in the second half. Joe Hilton played a pretty decent game. From what I heard, the referees were bad. I don't know about all that. If you look at last year, the pass interference call on Alabama that pretty much that led to Tennessee's game-winning drive. You gotta sit there and be like, hey man, y'all can have this one. So if you're a Tennessee fan, you can throw it up in the air all you want. I know Miss Alex Clayton is out there really cussing me out right now. But anyways, I would much rather want to be losing the whole game and then lose rather than be come back on, because then it's, oh man, Alabama choked, or oh man, this team choked, so and so. But yeah, Alabama played they played a really sound second half, and they ended up winning the ball game 34-20. And you still only have one loss in the season, no matter how ugly some of the wins have been. Auburn lost to Ole Miss 28-21. This was my upset pick of the week last week, and it ended up not happening. I thought it would. I picked them to upset Ole Miss, and I picked Penn State to upset Ohio State, and neither one of them happened. So I'm just on a roll this week, guys. I'm on a roll. And it was just a weekend for me. Had a really good weekend down in Auburn. So didn't really get to watch too much college football. I was able to watch some stuff from the stadium. Me and my buddies, we went back to my buddy Jaden's apartment after the game. We watched some games there. We watched UCLA play. We got to watch Utah knock off USC on a last second buzzer beater field goal. That was really cool to see, especially with all the talk that Caleb Williams has been doing about how he wants to have a little bit of a stake in an ownership of whoever the team drafts, and that's just absolutely insane and egotistical. But yeah, it was a fun weekend of college football, to say the least. Ohio State beat Penn State 20-12. I expected Penn State to win the game, but Drew Aller ended up showing his inexperience, and I've been saying all year I think he's going to be decent. And he'd been playing like an experienced quarterback, and buddy, he just proved me wrong on Saturday. That was just not a fun watch for somebody who was pulling for Penn State. But they had a really nice tear-jerking story on ESPN College Game Day that morning about how he was little. One of his cousins that he always looked up to, he passed away when he was little while he was playing football, and that's who he always looked up to. Passed away in a car accident. So College Game Day, they always find a way to jerk your tears away, and it's just always like that. Whether it's the NFL, whether you're in the playoffs or whatever is happening, it's always oh well, this player's mom died by a gunshot wound 15 years ago, and it's just like what? Like you saw earlier in the year, you had Ray Davis score a touchdown about how he was adopted. Now this is coming from SEC Network, mind you, and was straight up one of the comments was Ray Davis. He was adopted when he was little. Nobody wants to touch him now going into the end zone because he's such a good running back. I believe those were the words. And then following up by just like how nobody wanted him 11 years ago in the adoption center. And my first thought hearing that was, why say something like that? And I don't know, but Ray Davis is a phenomenal running back, and I'm citing the source, so I cannot be written down for libel, taken to court for nothing, no defamation. We're not having it. I cite my sources, and all thanks to my communication law class and Dr. Murphy. I have learned a lot about that. But yeah, it's just been a heck of a heck of a weekend, and just to see all the games happening, and just to see some of the upsets happening, getting to see some of the other games. Oh, by the way, mind you, Jack State upset none other than the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers last Tuesday night. By the way, mind you, and that was a fantastic ball game. I unfortunately did not get to go to that game. I went to the one the week before where they got beat by Liberty and ended up leaving by the end of the third quarter because, and they ended up getting beat 31-13. So I don't know what it is. I think I'm just bad luck this year. Both the collegiate football games that I've been to have been losses for my team. So I think I might just not go to another game this year, and maybe the tide will turn. But I'm thinking of going to the Jack State New Mexico State game later in the year. And mind you, Jack State, one of the better group of 5 teams, and being in the Conference USA, that really helps them out because that is one of the better group of 5 conferences. Now, I want to tell you a little about AIM Mobile Detail and Tyler Meads. If you're wanting to reset your vehicle or show room condition, you can call Tyler Meads at AIM Mobile Detail. He's got you covered with professional-grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements and corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call Tyler Meads now at 256-458-9949. That's 256-458-9949, or message him at AIM Mobile Detail on Facebook. And a lot of my another one of my sponsors this year is Chick-fil-A in Pell City. And Chick-fil-A in Pell City, fantastic place. You can go down there in the morning, and you can get your very own spicy chicken biscuit. If you're looking to spice up your morning, you can try the spicy chicken biscuit. It's an original chicken biscuit with a real boneless breast of chicken, seasoned with a spicy pepper blend, and served on a freshly baked buttermilk biscuit just for you. Stop by and enjoy a spicy chicken biscuit in the morning at Chick-fil-A in Pell City on Martin Street. And guys, it's fantastic. I've had it. It's very good. You need to go down there and try it. Now, what I should have done was asked everybody what their favorite college football rivalry was. And to the few people out there who are listening right now, if you would just go ahead and comment in the comments, let me know what your favorite rivalry in football is, whether it's an SEC rivalry, whether it's an out-of-conference rivalry, whether it's a game, whether it's a Red River rivalry, whatever it is, go ahead and comment down below, and I would love to get your feedback. And I'm going to give you my top 5 SEC rivalries right now. And coming in at number 5, I have none other than Auburn versus Georgia. Now, within the past few years, this has been one of those rivalry games that hasn't been as notorious as being a good game. Now, this past year, it was a fantastic game. Georgia ended up winning that game, but they did not cover in that game. And Auburn really did a heck of a job of keeping that game close. So I'm going with Auburn and Georgia at number 5. Fantastic rivalry. A few years ago, it was actually tied in overall wins and wins. Auburn was tied with Georgia in wins. So, but now it's a little bit different. Auburn hasn't won in a few years now, and that upsets me as an Auburn fan. But coming in number 4, I have none other than Alabama versus LSU. Now, this is a fantastic rivalry. I love watching it every year. It's just always good. One of my favorite games is A.J. McCarron was quarterback, and I'll just give you the game winner. A.J. McCarron was quarterback, dropped it off to T.J. Yeldon, screen pass. Alabama fans know what I'm talking about. Drops it off to T.J. Yeldon on the screen pass, takes it 20 or maybe not even 20 yards into the touchdown, and Alabama would end up winning that football game. That was a fantastic game. And then you also have the notorious 9-6 game that LSU won. Jerry White says Army versus Navy. And Jerry, you are right, man. That is a fantastic rivalry, and that is one of my favorites of all time. That is definitely top 3 for me, and it ain't 3. That's top 3 for me in all-time college football rivalries. I would go 1 Iron Bowl, 2 the game between Michigan and Ohio State, and then 3 Army versus Navy. Coming in number 3 for my SEC rivalries, I have none other than Georgia versus Florida. Now, Georgia versus Florida is interesting because you have some all-time classics. You have the game where it was Marino over the top, and then all the whole Georgia sideline coming out and just celebrating with the whole team in the end zone, throwing Florida for a loop because nobody saw that coming, and that, my friend, is what eventually led to a beatdown of Florida that year. Georgia absolutely smothered them, and that was the year Tebow was there. So that's the number 3 in my all-time SEC rivalries. Now, coming down to number 2, and that was my favorite moment from that rivalry, by the way. And now number 2, I have the Egg Bowl. Whether it's been DK Metcalf or Elijah Moore crawling in the end zone, peeing or making a motion like they're peeing like a dog on the stadium, whatever it was, and all the dogs are coming in. What a fitting time for me to be talking about the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Ole Miss and Mississippi State is just a fantastic rivalry. One of my favorites in the SEC. Number 2 for sure. You look at the times when Bo Wallace was there, Dak Prescott for Ole Miss. You really have some good games, and this is one of the most underrated rivalries in college football because of the two teams and the magnitude that they hold in college football. Now let's go ahead and say it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Ole Miss is not a powerhouse in football at all. Like they're just not that powerhouse that Ole Miss fans will try to say or SEC fans try to say. They're just not up there, and I feel like that's kind of where Lane Kiffin has to look at himself in the future, because I feel like Lane Kiffin can win a national championship somewhere. Not at Ole Miss, but I feel like he can definitely win a national championship somewhere. Again, mind you, not just the times with Nick Saban. That's just a fantastic rivalry, and I'm so excited for the end of the year this year. Always on Thanksgiving night, on Thursday night, fantastic rivalry. Last year, I had a reporter for the Opelika Auburn News, Callie Stanford. That was fun. That was fun last year. I actually had her on the night of the Egg Bowl, and I do believe I picked Mississippi State in that game. Got it right, by the way. And Callie picked against me. Now, Callie, if you're out there, I got you on that one. But we're going to be having her on hopefully later on in the year, whether it's going to be rivalry weekend or not. Who knows? But we're going to move on to the number 1 rivalry in the SEC, well, really of all time in college football. It goes to none other than Alabama versus Auburn and the Iron Bowl. Whether it's the classics, you have the kick 6, you have the 2014 game, the absolute shootout when I believe it was 99 points were scored. Just a fantastic rivalry. You throw it back to 2010, the comeback, throw it back to 21, where you had Alabama winning in 3 overtimes. It's something that had never been done in Iron Bowl history. And this is, by the way, this was new overtime rules. And you had the 2-point conversion rules after so many scores. That was a 10-10 game going into overtime. And it ended up being 24-22 going in favor of Alabama. But that's one of my all-time guys. That is the best rivalry in college football right now. And I kid you not, as a fantastic one. Now, throwing it out of conference, you've got some really good rivalries out of conference. You have go to the Pac-12. Let's go with Oregon State and Oregon in the Civil War. Then you also have Washington and Washington State. Fantastic rivalry. USC and UCLA also in the Pac-12. Come over to the ACC. You have Duke and North Carolina. Yes, that's a rivalry, by the way. You have Clemson versus Florida State. Yes, that's a rivalry, by the way. Clemson versus South Carolina. Yes, that is also a big rivalry. You've got so many games. Throw it over to the Big 12. I can go on and on and on. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State in the battle for Bedlam. Like, you just got so many good rivalries, whether it's being played in Stillwater or in the Sooner Stadium. It's always fantastic. And then the Big Ten as well. I can't skip over to them. Ohio State and Michigan, the best rivalry compared or next to the Iron Bowl, in my humble opinion. Then you also have Wisconsin and Illinois. Wisconsin and Iowa. You have Wisconsin and Illinois. Fantastic game this past weekend. There's some pretty good rivals as well if you haven't seen that. Iowa and Iowa State. You've got Iowa State and Texas. Really good rivalry there. Texas is in. Keep in mind, Texas. Those are two. Excuse me. Iowa State and Texas. Big 12, Big 10. Iowa. Excuse me. That's another thing. A few years ago you had Nate Stanley, maybe who it was, quarterback for Iowa at the time. Pretty decent. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot to mention. Jerry White. Thank you for tuning in, and Casey Phillips as well. Jerry White, yeah, USC versus Notre Dame, fantastic rivalry. You have some of the all-time greats playing in that game as well. That's more of an older rivalry. Now it's kind of coming back. I do think now it is kind of coming back. You had Notre Dame, and Jerry White, I know you like that. You had Notre Dame ended up beating USC a few years ago, and not even just barely. I mean, just absolutely slobber knocking them, man. And they beat the absolute crap out of them. And Notre Dame, that is something that I know all their fans are happy about because it was – for a little bit there, it was rough sledding, but it's going to be what it'll be. And but you know what? You can't take anything away from Notre Dame, and you definitely can't take anything away from USC in those rivalries because that is a big rivalry. Two great teams, two fantastic teams. Another rivalry in the Big Ten. You have Penn State, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State. You've got so many good rivalries. Heck, Nebraska, whenever they play Minnesota, that's a good game. And especially this past year, you had I believe Nebraska actually lost that game late. They were actually up and then lost that game late. But thank you guys for commenting. I appreciate all the comments. You can go ahead and leave your favorite rivalry down in the comments and your top SEC rivalries of all time, top college football rivalries of all time as well. But yeah, man, we've got some great rivalries and everything. I'm going to leave that there. That was the one segment for today that. I usually try to add in a new segment every episode. That was it, and that was one of my favorite segments that I've done on the show. Period. Are you wanting to reset your vehicle to show room condition? Well, Tyler Meads at A Mobile Detail has got you covered with professional grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements, and corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call Tyler Meads at 256-458-9949 or message him at A Mobile Detail on Facebook. And you can call Tyler Meads at 256-458-9949 or message him at AIM Mobile Detail on Facebook. Now, I have yet to talk about this, but Penn State, a bad loss over the weekend. Now, not just saying that it was a bad loss because of the score. The score wasn't bad. It's just an 8-point game, 20-12. But you really didn't look good. You just did not look good at all. You come out in the first half, you don't score a touchdown. And it's just that's just really rough for them. You score 6 points in the first half. I get you hold Ohio State to 10 points in the first half, but JSU versus Troy, Jerry, that's another good one. And maybe being a Jack State student, I should know that one. That's a little bit of an older rivalry. I wish they'd bring that back. And then another rivalry that you have with Jack State is North Alabama. So that's always a good one. But the thing with Penn State is I don't know where they're going to go now because you still have Michigan later on in the year. What do you think about that one? Because from what we saw this past weekend, the offense is going to have to step up tremendously if they're going to want to beat Michigan. Now, I get rivalry game, anything goes, but I don't think that Penn State has what it takes to beat Michigan. Heck, I thought that Penn State was the number 2 team in the Big Ten, but turns out that might not be the case, especially with Ohio State beating them this past weekend. Washington struggled this past weekend. They struggled with an inferior. They struggled with They struggled with a very bad Arizona State team. And let me just say, inferior. I got that word right. I was thinking of superior. What? But they struggled with an inferior Arizona State team. And let me just go ahead and tell you, I did not expect that at all. I expected Washington to come out there and beat this team by more than that, but especially in those Husky Knight jerseys. Those were fantastic. Or Purple Knights, whatever they called them. Those were fantastic jerseys. If you didn't get to go see them, you need to go over and see them. Or you need to look them up right now because those are some really, really nice jerseys. But you had Washington struggle. You had Oklahoma struggle. Oklahoma struggled with none other than UCF, the team with a losing record right now. I was surprised by that one. I didn't expect UCF to come out. And really, really hang in there with Oklahoma like they did. But I don't know. And still, the best team in the country is none other than the Michigan Wolverines. Have you heard about the new seasonal chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A? The new honey pepper pimento cheese chicken sandwich is a twist on the original Chick-fil-A sandwich. It features an original Chick-fil-A filet drizzled with honey, topped with pimento cheese, and served on a warm toasted bun with mild pickled jalapenos. Fantastic sandwich. You need to go down there and get it right now. Yeah, it's supper time still. You can go down there and get it right now or wait until tomorrow, whenever. But be sure to go down there and get as much as you can. And soon, because guess what? It's going out of season November 11th, and so is the caramel milkshake. It's also going out of season November 11th. I don't really know what's next for Penn State, and that's what kind of worries me. Now, I still think this is a very good team, very solid team. You have one loss in the season. Do not fret. But I think that Saturday was a real eye-opener because, well, for one, James Franklin loses another top 10 matchup that makes him 3-16, 3-17 against AP top 25 or AP top 10 matchups or 25, excuse me. And that's just not good. That's just not good. No, I'm sorry. It was top 10 matchups. My apologies. But that's just not good. And I think that anybody watching the games know that. And Penn State fans, I'm sorry. But James Franklin, I don't think he's necessarily the coach that's going to get you to the next level. I thought that maybe they had turned a corner, but it doesn't look like it because they just looked awful on Saturday. Washington, I have them dropping in the rankings. I think they're going to drop to I have them dropping to number 5. Now, I did not release a top 25 this week. It was a struggle all weekend. For those of you who don't know, I lost my podcast page and I lost my other Facebook page, so I cannot get into that page. So it's just been a hectic weekend, me trying to get Facebook back. So I have not released a top 25 and will not do that this week, but I will be back next week to drop one as well. I believe next week is the first college football playoff rankings, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll be back with my top 25, the HCS Hayden Coker Show top 25 next week. Do not miss out on that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good one too, because guess what? We've got some guys moving up. Ohio State's going to move up to number 3. Washington, they're going to drop to number 5. Who stays at number 1? Michigan Wolverines. They've been the best team in college football, in my opinion, all year long. And of course, you had Georgia, who took a beat down, who took a absolute. They beat down Kentucky very, very bad a few weeks ago. But and everybody was kind of high on that. I was still on the Michigan train. I got called out for it. But Michigan is the number 1 team in the country, and that is the Hayden Coker Show top 1. And number 2, obviously, you had the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 3 is going to be Ohio State, and then 4, Florida State, and then 5, Washington. So those are my top 5 right now. Will they change? Maybe, possibly. You should stay tuned for that coming into next week. That is why you should stay tuned every week to the Hayden Coker Show, of course. But now we're gonna see how these teams fare off in the next few weeks. Oklahoma still has some tough games on their schedule. Washington still has a tough game on their schedule. They still got Washington still has to play USC. Washington also still has to play, guess who? Washington State at the end of the year. Washington State, mind you, did not look terrible up against Oregon this past weekend. They have had a rough few weeks, by the way. If you have not gotten to watch Washington State over the past few weeks, I hyped them up, and I will go ahead and say it right now. I'll take full accountability. They are playing like absolute doo-doo right now. And you go out and you lose to Arizona by 30 points. What's going on with that, man? Absolutely terrible, atrocious, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, whatever verbiage you want to use, whatever adjective you want to use to explain it. That's just how it is. But I don't know, man. And I don't know. Washington State, not necessarily know what to think about them. Michigan, you still got Penn State and Ohio State on your schedule. You have not gotten to the thick of it yet. You haven't necessarily played anybody. But like I said earlier, who has Michigan played? I know. And what I'm talking about, Jerry, is look at who they played. I know they haven't played anybody. Look at how they've handled them. They've went out there. They've done their job each week. And I'm not going to penalize them for it. I said the same thing with Georgia last year. Who have they played? Well, they were the best team all year. And that's what I think with Michigan this year. They haven't played anybody, but they have been the best team. They've been the best team bar to bar, I think, all year. And I get they haven't played anybody, but I'm not going to penalize them for doing their job. And now, Jerry, a few years ago, do you remember when everybody was talking about, who has Notre Dame played? They were one of the top teams in the nation. but they were able to prove that they were up there. So that's just kind of my saying. That's just kind of my point of view. That's how I think about it. And some people may disagree, but that's my way of thinking. I'm here to tell you about Tyler Meads and A Mobile Detail. If you want your vehicle to show room condition, you can call Tyler Meads. He's got you covered with professional grade ceramic coatings, paint enhancements and corrections, and full interior and exterior details. You can call Tyler Meads now at 256-458-9949 or message him at AIM Mobile Detail on Facebook. But Jerry, that's one of the bottom lines for me, and that's why I love college football so much, is because it's debate, and people will disagree. People will disagree, but you can come to compromise. You can have their same opinion, whatever it is. That's why I love college football, man. Just getting to watch what they're able to do every Saturday on the field. It's entertaining. It's fun. And you look at what Emmanuel Acho said this past weekend about Caleb Williams, saying, "Oh, Caleb Williams should sit out." This is, by the way, I'm citing my evidence. This is Emmanuel Acho out of Fox Sports 1. Just an absolutely horrible take. Horrible. Said that Caleb Williams should sit out the rest of the year because it was too much of a risk. He doesn't have a chance at the Heisman. They don't have a chance at the playoffs. That he should just sit out the rest of the year. That is the most bull crap way of thinking that I have ever heard. And Emmanuel Acho I'm not going to say should be fired because everybody makes bad takes, but that was just absolutely horrible, absolutely horrendous. I think Acho is a good analyst. He just said something that was fairly stupid, but just absolutely horrible. And I think that Caleb Williams, fantastic player. I personally don't like his demeanor and how he handles things, how he says things, especially ever since he came forth and said that, "Oh, whoever drafts me, I want them to give me part ownership or part stake of the franchise." No, dude, that's stupid. That's egotistical to say. You're not that high up yet. You're not that high up yet, buddy. And of course, I think that everybody has their egotistical moments. That was one of them for Caleb Williams, and not a good look at all. And then especially with him saying earlier, and his dad saying that Caleb Williams might not declare for the draft depending on the situation. Dude, be humble that you are getting the opportunity to go play in the NFL. You are having one of the best seasons that a USC quarterback has had. And I'm talking about last year as well. Be humble. Humble yourself and know that this is not – and I'm screaming. I feel bad for the parents in there. But humble yourself and know that you could not be in this situation. Know that you have it so much better than anybody else or some folks out there. Know that the other quarterbacks who are putting in just as much time, if not more time than you, are not as great as you are at the position, because you have the God-given talent and the God-given ability to go out there and play the game that you love every Saturday, and you just happen to be good at it. All right? Don't put yourself out there. Don't make yourself sound like a complete idiot to where people dislike you. I'm sorry, but that's just my take on it. And yeah, I'm done with the rant, and I feel sorry for everybody in there. Hey, I'm sorry. I got my underwear is caught on fire a little bit. All right, I'm running around. This is a Hayden Coker Show special, man. Yeah, woo! I have never been this living on a show, man. I have a golly, woo, man. I'm gonna have to take a second I'm gonna drink some water to calm myself down. I think I need a banana now. No, you're good. I'll just bring it in there. No. Yeah, I'll take a banana. Oh, no. But Jerry White comments, "Glory." I mean, you would think I'm in church right now. You would think I'm in church. How much oh, man. Whoo. I got the sweats, man. Oh, man. Wow. What a rant. I don't even have that on my sheet. That was not supposed to happen. I'm sorry to everybody out there who I offended by screaming in your ears, because I have just ruptured some eardrums, and I'm so sorry. I'm scared the dogs. I scared all the dogs away. They're not in the dining room anymore. They went somewhere else. I don't see them. But now, my long-awaited predictions. I know that everybody just looks forward to them every week. These are my predictions for the week, and I'm going to start out with some non-conference action. And first, I have Oklahoma at Kansas, and this is going to be a game that I feel like is going to be better. And excuse me, I have all messed up my camera, but this is a game that is being all too much overlooked, and nobody's really talking about it. But Kansas is not a bad football team at all. Kansas is not a bad football team. You host Oklahoma this week. By the way, Kansas is getting some renovations to their stadium within the next few years that are going to look fantastic. And shout out to the Jayhawks over there, and especially their new uniforms. They look pretty good. This is going to be a fun one. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not right now. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to take it. I'm taking it. Kansas is going to beat Oklahoma this coming weekend. And you know why they're going to beat Oklahoma? Because Oklahoma is down right now. Oklahoma almost upset by UFC. This is not the fight game, although I did watch some of the fights on Saturday before the Auburn game. But you go toe-to-toe with UCF, almost lose that game to a team that now has a losing record. Now, I get that's not a bad UCF team, but that is not something that the Oklahoma Sooners have to do. And the Kansas Jayhawks are going to take advantage of that this upcoming weekend. The Kansas Jayhawks are going to upset the Oklahoma Sooners this weekend. That's one of the big upsets, by the way. Now up next, so I got Kansas in that one. Now, Oregon at Utah. Who will win this one? Oregon, a few weeks ago, you took a loss to Washington. You bounce back this week. You get a good win against a Washington State team that is struggling. Now, you are going to Utah. Now, I can't remember the name of the stadium. I'm not even going to act like I remember it. But you go to Utah, going to be a tough atmosphere to play in. Utah's defense, fantastic against the run. Oregon likes to run the ball. Bucky Irving is an absolute dog. If you have not watched Oregon this year, you need to because they're doggone good. But I'm going with Oregon. I don't think that Utah can necessarily handle the passing game, and I certainly don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with Oregon on the scoreboard. Now, I'm going to give my flowers to Utah's backup quarterbacks this year. You have Bryce. I can't remember his last name for the life of me, but Nate Johnson out there as well. Not the greatest. He's redshirt freshman coming off the bench earlier in the year and trying to help out a little bit. And not the greatest in the world for Utah, but with Cam Rising being out, it's not a bad option. You went with two quarterbacks. You found which one you liked best, and I applaud it because a lot of teams can't do that. Look at what Auburn's doing. They're playing this two quarterback system. They look awful, man. Stick with one quarterback, and I've said it before. I don't think that Thorne is that guy, but I'm gonna be quite frank with you. I don't think that Ashford is that guy either. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know where they're going from here, but I will go ahead and say that I think that they need to stop with that two quarterback system. But yeah, first of all, I want to give my flowers to Bryson Barnes. He's played fantastic this year I'll say fantastic. He's played pretty good this year for Utah, with the given circumstances. Now, with Cam Rising out, he was questionable for week 1. Now, if you're questionable for week 1, surely to God you're back by week 3, week 4. No, I don't know what is going on over there in Utah, but he has yet to be back yet, and that's something I'm concerned about. And I don't think that that's going to help out Utah this upcoming weekend. I'm rolling with none other than the Oregon Ducks to win at Utah this weekend. Now, Duke at Louisville. This is going to be a fun one. Now, Louisville, you had a big win against Notre Dame a few weeks ago. Fantastic win. Duke, you're coming off a close loss to Florida State this past weekend. You played them close, but it was no cigar. No cigar in Florida, down there in Florida State this past weekend in Tallahassee. Something makes me want to lean Duke. Now, I also want to lean Louisville. I'm not necessarily sure where to go on this one. I've looked over it. Guys, Jack Plummer is a really good quarterback. If you have not been paying attention to him, I would advise you to. Pretty daggum good quarterback. And, yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. A couple weeks ago, Notre Dame played the lights out, man. Jerry, I'm sorry. I keep going back to that game. But and Notre Dame losing. But I'm sorry. It just had to be said. But Louisville played good all in all. They had a good run game. They had a good passing attack. Now, Duke, on the other hand, you had Riley Leonard get injured a few weeks back, came back this past week, Now, is he going to be able to play this week? Now, I know he's not 100%, but if he's able to play this week, I could see Duke getting the upset. I don't even know what the line is for that game. I could see Duke winning that game, though, this upcoming weekend if Riley Leonard is indeed playing. Now, it's going to be interesting because it's, like I said, it's at Louisville. Let's see who's actually favored to win. Oh, Louisville is favored by 4 to win this game, according to Yahoo Sports. Louisville 6-1 on the year. Duke is 5-2 on the year. I think that Louisville, them being at home, I think that Louisville is going to win this football game. And mind you, going to be a close game, going to be a good game, going to be hard fought. I think that Duke is going to come in there and they're going to put up a fight. I'm a big fan of Riley Leonard. But I just do not think that Duke is going to get it done, especially with it being in Louisville, because that's a tough place to play. It's a very tough place to play. And Notre Dame showed it a few weeks ago. Sorry, Jerry. My next game, I have Tennessee at Kentucky, and I'm going Kentucky here. I'm laying it on the line. Kentucky will win this football game. And let me just tell you, it will be a good game. Tennessee's favored by 3.5, according to Yahoo Sports. But Kentucky will upset Tennessee in Lexington this weekend at Kroger Field. And that's just the bottom line. It's going to be a good one. Kentucky takes the upset. UNC at Georgia Tech. UNC coming off a tough loss this past weekend to a team they should not have lost to in Virginia. Virginia, one of the worst teams in the ACC. And this is a UNC team that should have ran the table because they don't play anybody. This is a game that I don't think is going to be just a walk in the park for North Carolina, especially what happened last week. Georgia Tech is looking at a vulnerable North Carolina, or Georgia Tech is looking at a vulnerable North Carolina team. Georgia Tech comes close, but no cigar. I think that North Carolina beats Georgia Tech in Tech this weekend in Atlanta. Now, BYU at Texas. BYU, not a team to mess around with. Now, Texas struggled this past weekend. What we're up with all the good teams struggling. Well, let me tell you what. Quinn Ewers is going to miss this game, and it's going to be Malik Murphy at the helm of this offense. And BYU's coming in, and they're looking to upset Texas and ruin their college football playoff chances. Does this happen with it being in Texas? It is in DKR this weekend. Does BYU pull off the unimaginable? Do they pull off the upset? By the way, this is a top 25 team we're talking about, not in the AP poll, but in the HCS top 25. BYU is most certainly a top 25 team. Coming in number 25, 24, somewhere around there. Like I said, didn't make a top 25. But anyways, this is a good ball team. Now, this is going to be an absolute grudge match. I mean, they're going to be – I'm not saying they're two heavyweights, but Texas is going to be in a dogfight on Saturday, and they're going to be fighting for their college football playoff hopes, and their college football playoff hopes are going to be on the line. But Texas pulls it out in the end. Texas pulls it out in the end, and they're going to continue to impress this year. Colorado at UCLA. This is it's going to be a fun game for UCLA. You got Deion Sanders and company at home. Shadur Sanders. You got Weaver, fantastic playmaker on the outside when it comes to the wide receiver position. You've also got Travis Hunter, one of the best athletes in college football right now. Do they pull off the upset at UCLA? No, they don't. No. I can't get behind it. Carson Steele might run for 200 yards on Saturday. And Carson Steele transfer over from Ball State, one of the best running backs when it comes to being outside of the Power 5. Now, come in this year in the Pac-12, going to be in the Big Ten next year. But this Carson Steele dude is legit, and you need to be watching out for him, especially this coming Saturday when he runs for 200+ on the Colorado Buffs. And I don't mean to put that lightly, guys. Carson Steele's a real deal. Now, UCLA is going to win that game. Now, West Virginia at UCF. How's this one going to go? Garrett Green with a fantastic game a few weeks ago against Houston when you lose in overtime. How's this one going to go? I have my separate thoughts on it. It's at UCF. I think UCF has a little bit of an advantage. I'm going to take UCF. I picked West Virginia the past 2 weeks, and they let me down. So I've got to go with none other than the UCF Knights. And as much as it pains me, I've got to go with them. And shout out to Gus Malzahn over there. And you're not doing a great job, but from what you've been given, I think you're doing all right first year in the Big 12. So shout out to UCF and Gus Malzahn. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've been waiting for. My SEC picks. But first, have you heard about the new chicken sandwich? The seasonal chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A. Well, let me just tell you about it. The new honey pepper pimento cheese chicken sandwich is a twist on the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. It features an original Chick-fil-A filet drizzled with honey, topped with pimento cheese, and served on a warm toasted bun. Wait, there's more. And it also has mild pickled jalapenos. Fantastic sandwich. I highly encourage you to go down to Chick-fil-A in Pell City on Martin Street and get you one. Fantastic sandwich. And guys, I got me a banana right here because I was in desperate need of a banana. But I had to after that Come to Jesus meeting I had earlier. And but yeah, guys, go down there and try that sandwich. Fantastic as always. And it's good. Now, my SEC picks for this weekend. I highlighted the notable games. Now, at first we have Auburn versus Mississippi State. Who's going to win this game? This is a tough one. It is in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I picked Auburn this past weekend in Jordan-Hare Stadium, and they let me down. Now, you have a team that is not as good as Ole Miss, but could still make some noise. This is a Zach Arnett team that's not horrible. You come off a huge win against Arkansas. By the way, these teams scored Mississippi State and Arkansas scored a total of 10 points this past weekend, with Mississippi State winning 7-3. Wow, that is the lowest scoring game by a winner since Auburn and Mississippi State. By the way, I know that because of Cole Kublik. Thank you, Cole, for the information. But I don't know, man. This is a game I've kind of been going back and forth with, and I know I'm peeling it upside down, maybe asking why I couldn't get this side open. So let's not tell anybody. But I'm going to go with Auburn. I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I think they get it done this coming weekend. I think they get it figured out offensively. If not, it could be a long night for the Auburn Tigers. But that's how I have it shaping out this coming weekend. Now, South Carolina at Texas A&M. This is going to be a fun one. But with it being in Kyle Field, that's going to give the Aggies the upper hand, and they're going to beat South Carolina this weekend. And they're going to beat them bad. South Carolina is very disappointing this year. Not what I expect them to be at all. I think preseason I projected them 8-4. Now that is obviously not the case. And now for our SEC game of the week, man. This is going to be a fantastic ball game on Saturday, 2:30 on CBS. You have the Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Florida Gators in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It's going to be a fun one on Saturday. Georgia, Brock Bowersless. Can they get it done against Florida on Saturday? Florida, they're having a pretty decent year from what everybody was saying they were going to be. I saw 5-7. I saw 6-6. Guys, this Florida team is good. We need to look out for them. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying they're world beaters or anything. I'm not saying they're competing for the SEC East. Hold the phone. They might just be. Hey, I appreciate it, Jerry. Fun show. I appreciate that. Hope you stay tuned for the future shows we'll be coming out with. We've got something going on behind the scenes that I think everybody is going to enjoy. This is a Florida team that is 5-2 on the year. You beat Georgia this weekend. You already have a win against Tennessee. If you can beat Georgia this weekend, have some help from Tennessee later on in the year with them beating Georgia. If they do, of course, you have the loss to Kentucky, but if Kentucky takes a loss or more too, it's not going to matter because guess what? It's just not going to happen. But if Florida can beat Georgia this coming weekend, we may be talking about a Florida team that's in the SEC championship coming in December. That's if they win this weekend. But obviously, we're going to see how that goes down the road. And you also still have Florida State at the end of the year, and that's going to be a fun one, by the way. Future potential upset, by the way. Just keep that in mind. That's going to be a fun one, guys. And I think that Georgia is going to win this weekend by a very slim margin, closer than some people might think. Brock Bowersless Georgia, no problem. Well, I say no problem for them. It is going to be a problem for them. I don't think that they're going to play as good as they would if they did have Brock Bowers. But To everybody out there, Georgia's going to win this weekend in a very tight game against the Florida Gators in Jacksonville, Florida, in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. This has been the Hayden Coker Show. Y'all have a fantastic day. Oh, by the way, this is the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by J&K Tire. You can get $10 off of any service if you go down to J&K Tire in Steele, Alabama. If you mention the Hayden Coker Show, that's right, $10 off of any service. This has been the Hayden Coker Show. Y'all have a fantastic weekend.